Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Porte ISD, and thank you for being here. It is 6:35 p.m. Tuesday, December 12, 2023, and I hereby call this meeting to order. Notice that this meeting has been posted in a manner required by law. The Board of Trustees of LaPorte Independent School District is now convened. Let the record show that all trustees are in attendance and a quorum is present. As the LaPorte ISD Board of Trustees, every student's success is our number one priority. We are here to set goals, adopt policy, approve budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and communicate the district's vision and success to the community. It is not the role of the board to make day-to-day operational decisions. The management and day-to-day operations of this district are the responsibility of the superintendent. This is a public meeting of the Board of Trustees, not a meeting of the public. School board meetings are open to all those who wish to attend and hear matters discussed. However, audience participation is limited to the patron presentation portion of the meeting, and board members may not respond to those comments made in the public comment section. These proceedings may be recorded, and I respectfully ask that you please refrain from talking while others are speaking. Before we begin, I would like to sincerely thank you for taking your time to join us this evening and your interest in LaPorte Independent School District. At this time, will you please stand for the presentation of colors led by the LaPorte High School ROTC. On the American Rifle, Second Lieutenant Taylor Pugh. American Flag, First Sergeant Colt Rawls. Texas Flag, Private Shelby Martinez. And Texas Rifle, Second Lieutenant Aiden Trent. Will you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
To the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Now, please bow your heads for tonight's invocation given by Board of Trustees of the topic.
Dear Heavenly Father, as we gather today as members of the school board, we come before you with hearts full of gratitude and joy. In this season of celebration and reflection, we are reminded of the importance of love, compassion, and unity. May your spirit of peace and goodwill be present in our meetings and decisions. Grant us the strength to work together for the betterment of our schools and the lives of the students we serve. Bless the teachers, administrators, students, and their families with joy and happiness. May the light of this season shine upon us, illuminating our path as we strive to create a nurturing and inspiring educational environment. Also, please keep in prayer the family and friends of Joel Fagan as we mourn the loss of a great educator during these holidays. We offer this prayer with gratitude and hope, trusting in your divine guidance. Amen.
Thank you. Now be seated. All right, we will now move to item 7, our board recognitions. Eight, I'm sorry, line 8, board recognitions.
Nice holding bottle of water bottle.
Give it back tomorrow.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Terry Cook. I'm the Partners in Education Coordinator for Porte ISD, and we have 3 outstanding partners that we'd like to recognize this evening. We're going to start with Nebraska. We are very grateful to Nebraska for their partnership with Porte ISD in helping LaPorte High School students learn about local industry and the associated careers. In February of this year, Nebraska talked to LaPorte ISD representatives about a possible partnership and volunteer opportunities fostering STEM education and promoting sustainability and a circular economy in Nebraska. Conversations with Brittany Garris of Nebraska's corporate team and Jeremy Holton, Nebraska LaPorte plant manager, with LaPorte ISD's career and technical education coordinator, Marissa Lopez, led to a field trip to Nebraska for LaPorte High School students on October 27th. 30 science, engineering, and welding students had a unique and valuable opportunity to tour the Nebraska plant, participate in experiments, and learn about careers from Nebraska employees. Thank you to Nebraska for giving our students this close-up look at industry as they prepare for their future careers. And we have 4 representatives of the Nebraska management team here tonight. Jeremy Colton, who is the plant manager. Jeremy, you certificate. Larice Kanawati, Industrial Director for Texas.
Come on, Larice. Everybody has to come.
Larice, come on up.
Appreciate you.
Clever Sousa, who's the engineering leader. And Clint Penrose, environmental and utilities leader. Our next partner that we'd like to recognize is Raising Cane's. Raising Cane's supports education at LaPorte ISD in a variety of ways. This is the 2nd year that Raising Cane's Deer Park has provided free meal gift certificates for LaPorte ISD elementary principals to award to students for perfect attendance and or honor roll. In October, they also provided free meal certificates to every LaPorte ISD elementary school student as a special treat. In addition, Raising Cane's donated school supplies and provided lemonade and iced tea for volunteers at the Fill the Bus, provided prizes for LaPorte ISD's convocation, and donated gift certificates for a mini meal for every LaPorte Education Foundation grant winner this fall. Raising Cane's also is a sponsor on the national level of Lemonade Day, a program that helps students learn about how to own and operate their own business. For LaPorte ISD, not only did Raising Cane's attend the local Lemonade Day, showcasing LaPorte ISD students, the restaurant also offered a Saturday morning lemonade making workshop for the district's young entrepreneurs. We appreciate the generosity and support of Raising Cane's Deer Park manager, Corey Pitt, marketing leader, Michelle Hines, and the entire Raising Cane's team for supporting our students and our schools. And we have Corey Pitt, who's the manager of Raising Cane's Deer Park, here with us tonight. And our final recognition tonight, the Board of Directors of the Rotary Club of LaPorte recently voted to sponsor the Elementary and Secondary Teacher of the Year Awards. with a donation of $12,000 to the Porte ISD for the 2023-24 school year. This awards program, which was started and maintained through the generosity of former Port ISD Board of Trustees member Pat Scudder for more than 20 years, provides a monetary award to the district's elementary and secondary teachers of the year during a surprise announcement at the Port ISD Service Award celebration. The Rotary Club decided to demonstrate their support of Port ISD and the district's outstanding teachers by committing to the sponsorship of the awards for the next 3 years. We are so grateful for our LaPorte Rotarians for their generosity and for acknowledging and continuing this unique and very special tradition in our district. And we have several, in addition to several Rotarians, we've got several of our executive board members in the audience tonight. Mason Harris is our president, Bob Pizzatola is our historian, Sonia Baumgardner, our entertainment director, Rick Helton, our treasurer. If y'all will please come.
All right, we are going to continue. We'll go on to item 9, public comment. The board will now hear those who wish to make comments and who have completed and returned the public comment participation request. This section will be conducted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act and board policy. Complaints or concerns for which other resolution channels are provided shall be directed through those channels. Mr. Shoppy, do we have any registered speakers?
No, Mr. President.
All right. Please note for the record, we don't have any registered speakers, so we will move on to item 10, Public hearing on amendment number 1 to agreement for limitation on appraised value between the district and Stepan Company, Texas Comptroller, application number 1545 pursuant to chapter 313 of the Texas Tax Code.
Good evening. So due to the changes in the construction timeline for the project, Stepan has requested a 1-year delay in the start of the limitation period from tax year 2024 to tax year 2025, which is projected to be the first complete tax year that begins after the date of commencement of the commercial operation.
Okay. We will now open for public comment at 6:51. Any takers? Any comments from the board? This hearing's closed at 6:51. I seek a motion.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Perez.
I don't think the motion yet, because that's going to be on the on.
I apologize.
I take it
Thank
back.
you. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to move on to item 11, administrative reports. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, board members. As we head into the winter holidays, I want to provide you with a summary of the many great things that are happening in the Porte ISD. We certainly have had an opportunity to witness a lot of the wonderful things that are happening. First, I was so proud of our students at Christmas on Main, where they performed wonderful musical and dance and American Sign Language routines to thousands of people. We're grateful for their efforts of our teachers, directors, and of our maintenance department for teaming up with the city of LaPorte to pull off such a magnificent event. Also, in the spirit of the holidays, several district administrators, board members, city officials, and other volunteers have experienced the joy of reading holiday stories with our elementary students. Thank you very much. We have had suppers with Santa, winter wonderlands, even a Christmas at the barn by our FFA students, which provides holiday fun for the youngsters while helping provide food to our neighbors in need. Yesterday, all the district's 5th graders were treated to a wonderful Christmas program at the Bulldog Center that featured the LaPorte High School Orchestra, band, choir, and Chado dance teams. Over the past month, more than 40 student athletes were named to all district teams or academic all-district teams in football, volleyball, and water polo. Meanwhile, 3 of our standout student athletes signed national letters of intent to continue their athletics and education at the collegiate level. Our performing arts students also earned their share of accolades. 13 of our junior high students and 20 high school students earned all-region music. 7 high school band students additionally qualified to compete at area, which is the next step towards becoming all-state. And the LaPorte Education Foundation awarded 129 grants to teachers and administrators in LaPorte ISD on November 16th, totaling $132,000, $163.49. This is going to fund innovative class projects, and this has marked the 30th time that the foundation has awarded grants to educators in LaPorte ISD. Board, one of the many reasons why LaPorte ISD exemplifies excellence is our innovation. Among our newest initiatives is the Project Launch Program, which is a collaborative with the University of Houston Clear Lake that enables our 5th and 6th grade gifted and talented students to take courses from university professors and graduate students. Earlier this month, I had the pleasure of joining dozens of parents at the university where our young scholars showcased their outstanding first semester projects. I saw another first this week in the LaPorte ISD. One of our senior maritime students was awarded a jacket by San Jacinto College for becoming the first and the only CTE maritime student in the entire nation to earn a Coast Guard certification. That deserves a round of applause. What a tremendous honor. And speaking of CTE certifications, 11 of our culinary arts students received their Safe Serve certification, which allows them to have increased responsibilities in the food service industry. These are just a few of the many certifications that our CTE students will earn this year. Finally, our students and staff do not limit themselves to the school just between Monday and Friday. Saturdays have featured robotics practice and elementary UIL meet at Heritage Elementary School, where more than 500 parents came to see the award ceremony and preparations for the upcoming musical. The cast and crew will also be spending much of their time rehearsing at LaPorte High School over winter break. Our Bulldogs basketball team recently went 6-0 to bring home first place in the highly regarded Hardin-Jefferson tournament. What a market turnaround in that program, and we're certainly equally proud of our Lady Dogs and our junior high basketball programs, where our students are excelling both on and off the court. Our Bulldogs and Lady Dogs will play several basketball games between this Friday and the time everyone returns in January. There's also a girls' soccer game scheduled for December 27th, 2 days after Christmas. And there are many great things happening in LaPorte ISD, and we look forward to building on that excellence in 2024. Wishing you all a Merry Christmas and a new year brimming with fresh opportunities and personal accomplishments. From my family to yours, Board of Trustees, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Now, move on to our business and finance update. Ms. McDowell.
Good evening, again. So I will share a high-level overview of our purchasing processes as well as a brief financial update for our district. So our purchasing department consists of Linda Marler, who is our purchasing and contracts coordinator, as well as Leslie Atkins, who's our purchasing specialist. She's also part-time my secretary, so she does many duties in our office. So purchasing by numbers, this is last year, this is for fiscal year 2023. Just want to kind of give you an idea of how busy our department is, up to our 1.5 years. Purchasing, our purchase orders were a total of almost 4,500. That's the most that we've ever had in our district so far. And that was mainly due to our tightened controls of how we are purchasing our goods and services. We signed and had 205 contracts. We belong to 15 co-ops, and we completed 7 different bids through the RFP system. And we have almost 5,800 active vendors where we do business with, or have the ability to do business with. So of those 7 bids, 3 were our E-rates. Our technology, we had one, which was the big one, was our copier. We did our CMAR for our bond project. We had 2 serving catering services, and then we had some also for professional development. 2 that we've done so far in one we've done so far in 2024 is our property insurance bid that was huge, and it will be coming to you in February with pricing, preliminary pricing. And then we will also, one that will be coming up is we're going to have a courier service that we're going to go out to bid for a courier service in the spring. So the benefits of using a co-op. So there are significant time savings. As I said, we belong to 15 of them. It expedites and simplifies the legal procurement process. The potential cost savings is having some new vendors offer to us. They offer greater discounts because they belong to a competitive co-op, and they're evaluated for their competitiveness. There's additional vetting for our different vendors that belong to the co-op, so we rarely have any issues with vendors. And if we do, the co-ops help resolve any issues that we do have. And we are given rebates, like 3 of our main co-ops. Based on the amount of money that we spend with that co-op, or with vendors that are inside of that co-op, we get a rebate back. So for by board, we just received a $16,000 check for last year for using different vendors that are on that co-op. So going on to our RFP system, our request for proposal, are different steps and time frames. So there's 10 steps, which is why we only have 7. Like it's a big process. It takes a minimum of 6 to 8 weeks, depending if it has to go to y'all for approval. If it's over 50,000, then it can even extend that time frame. So we have to evaluate. We have to prepare the bid, advertise. We have different meetings that go along with it. Then you open the bid. Then you have to evaluate the bid, and all of this is it's a big process, like going the property insurance way. It was a great learning experience, and it was very valuable for us to do it. But it took a good 3 months for us to get it completed. And it won't actually be completed until it comes to y'all in February. And then, so if it did have to go to y'all, then we could finally award the bid and move forward. So that's really the main differences between a co-op and the benefits of co-op versus the benefits of an RP. And sometimes you have to go to RP, like property insurance. We wanted to, because we wanted to see what was out there for us to make sure that we provide to y'all what is going to be the most financially beneficial to our district. Before I move on to the financial update, are there any questions about the business?
Do we do like quality and reliability audits on our vendors? Kind of like, and I mean, we do ISO in industry, so something like that. And if we do it on our vendors for like the RFPs, do we also do it on the co-op?
The co-ops,
They do it for them, and we
yeah,
trust
they
their
do.
audits. We don't do our own
We trust their
individuals.
audits, yes.
Okay.
And so for the vendors that are in our quality and assurance, I'm going to go back here at Lindley and I mean, I don't know that it's part of the bid process. It's not a formal thing that we can go if we're not. Many of our vendors are, just our normal challenge. For Liberty, if we're using Amazon now, that's a huge thing, I mean, like, everyone loves Liberty right now, because of how she implemented that in. So is that kind of what you were?
Yeah, I was just
Okay.
curious, just making sure that like if we're using a vendor regularly, first of all, that like the quality, of the things that we're getting back from them is maintained through the years, and then also that they're reliable. Because
Wow.
again, with everything we've gone through with inventory and stuff like that the past few years.
I believe they're rated. I mean, didn't one come to the board to go through, and there's a bunch of food vendors that were rated and how their quality and performance, so.
And the beauty of it is, like, if they're not, if our secretaries or our budget managers, if they're not happy, they're gonna let us know, and they're gonna let that vendor know, and they're not gonna use that vendor anymore.
Got it.
So that's part of the quality assurance is are they providing the service?
Thank you.
I really don't have a question, but more of a statement and a kudos. I read through the property insurance proposal because I get them all from everywhere all over Texas, and it was very well done. I mean, it took you 3 months. That's a long time. So, I mean, you had to have done a good job. So, I do want to say that the work of 1.5 people in the purchasing department for all these things that y'all do is very commendable. And I understand that you cannot go out for bid on every single item, and that's why buy board and other things like that are used. So, thank you.
I go with that sentiment. I did have a question. Why would something be triggered to go to RFP instead of being a co-op?
If we cannot find what we want, or if we have a certain idea that perhaps this vendor is the one we want to use and they're not on a co-op, but we want to see how they compare to other ones, then we're going to go to RFP process.
It's almost making them prove themselves.
Absolutely. That's a good way to finish. So, any other questions before we move on?
Sorry, I'm assuming that also includes being able to use local vendors to kind of give back to the area too. Like
Yes, we would love for them to be a part of the co-op, because then there are different purchasing laws.
Right.
So we can only spend so much on a commodity with a certain, and so if they're part of the co-op, then those laws are that's fine. We don't have to abide by the different rules. But if they're not part of the co-op, then we have to limit. So we encourage everyone to join the co-op, especially if they're local, because we do want to support the local companies that are around us. Sometimes our hands are tied up. Okay? All right, moving forward to our financial update. So every 6 weeks we do, at the end of the 6 weeks, our police department runs a superintendent report, and it has all the information on kind of where we stand with our ADA and the types of students we have. And so I use that and I put it into the summary of finance template. That is this someone so much smarter than anyone I've ever met and built this 100 worksheet template. And so I update it with our current information. So we just had a 6 weeks in, so when I put that in there, our recapture is now, it fills out and it gives you where you are right now. The summary summary of finance, of course, is something that's on TEA, and that's what we were talking about in the previous meeting where it's not updated. It's always estimates, preliminary. So this is our way of going in and kind of putting where we are right now and to try to figure out, to help budget, to help see, and not have to rely on data that is not accurate or current. So right now, our recapture payment calculates out to about $23 million. We budgeted the 50. I will say the $50 million was budgeted with the extra 12 cents. Actually, the extra, 22 cents, because the pressure brought it down 10 cents, and then we lost 12 cents. So that's why we thought we were going to get a whole lot more revenue. Therefore, we were going to have to give a whole lot more away in recapture. So the impact to our fund balance, right now, we had budgeted, it was going to be an $8.5 million deficit. Right now, we're sitting at $6.5 million. During the summer, we were up. We thought it was like 9.2, but see, things changed. And before that, the laws weren't put into place yet, or the election hadn't happened yet, with all the homestead exemption increase and the NCR decrease and that kind of thing. So anyway, I just want to kind of give you, this is where we stand right now. Is this going to change? Absolutely. In 6 weeks, we'll see, is it still saving? Moving on, as Dr. Jackson has spoken before, and we've talked about it here, our ESSER funds, this is our last year for ESSER funds, $2.8 million is what we had left to spend this last year. And it's broken up with $800,000 roughly for the 11 employees, interventionists, and a librarian, a baker. We met with all of those employees in September and had a conversation of like where we're going to be in the future, and they were all assured that they will have a job. We just weren't sure where we're going to, what that job is going to be yet. And that was something that also was explained to them 3 years ago when they took this job. $1 million is paying for our insurance, and then another $1 million is divvied out between, we're paying our summer school payroll from that, different types of travel and contracted services through it all. So our tax revenues, we're starting to get some. December, we're happy, yay. And in December, January, and February is when we get the bulk of the tax revenues coming in. So people right now, I don't know if you've noticed or if you paid your personal taxes, your home taxes, it is based on the laws that passed in November. And, there is this lawsuit out there that a group of people have put saying that the election equipment was faulty, therefore all of the constitutional amendments that were voted on and approved are null and void, So they're kind of fighting that. And what that means is the retirement, people who receive TRS retirement, it could postpone their payment that they're supposed to get in January. But all of the tax assessors they send out the bills and your homestead, and it includes that 100%, the $100,000 homestead exemption, and it includes our tax rates that have that decreased M&O tax rate. So we are going to receive taxes based on what the laws that were passed. So I wanted to also kind of point out here that this, we're receiving the funds right now in December, January, and February. So this is why that 150-day that we need to have that 150-day or a great guideline for us to follow, because from July on, we're taking that money. Like, we're using our fund balance to pay payroll until we get collections.
How many days is it to get? No, I'm just kidding.
But I wanted to point this out because this is where you can really see, like right now, payroll is $6 million a month. And that includes our TRS payments and different things like that. And then the non-payroll expenses also. So those are just coming out of our coffers that are made up of our fund balance. So now that we're getting money, we're like, yeah, hey, okay. We can book that revenue, and our fund balance is going to go back up to what it was. And the fourth special session ended, and I'm sure you're all aware, with nothing that's happened. No legislation was passed for public school funding for teacher pay or for security, which is it's a huge expense that every district is feeling, and that we have no funds to pay for. We have the funds, but we would love the funds that were promised to us. So all of our districts in Texas are impacted by these financial restraints that are created by the state. And we are in a better financial state than many others, and it's due to how we are conservative with our budgets, how we are really making plans. Like, we have conversations, administrators are in constant conversation about our future plans, and we have different forecasts of, well, if we did this, what would it be, how much this, that, and going back. And so these are conversations that we have because our goal is always to meet the needs of the students and staff. Any questions that I can answer? I know that,
I have a question. You know what, it's further on in the agenda, but our current fund balance is approximately, I'm not asking for you to.
it's 65 million. For general fund? Yes, ma'am. Oh, our current fund balance as of right now is about 40 million. And that's because it continues to decrease because, as I said, we're paying every month $6 million is coming out of payroll.
But you can anticipate that.
It will add, yes, December, January, February, we'll get our money back and it'll go back up. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Steve.
Thanks, Stacy.
We'll now go to item C, safety update. Dr. Bromley?
Got a quick little bond piece in there too, so. Gotta throw that in. All right. Good evening, President Hanks, Board of Trustees, Dr. Jackson. Wanted to spend just a brief moment here to discuss something that's been talked about frequently, and that's actually a part of a consent item here later with update 122 through TASB. But this is local policy FFAC, what you may have heard as Narcan, right?
Yeah.
So opioid antagonist or Narcan. And through Senate Bill 629, the governor has pushed out that districts house this on campuses. So through that policy tonight, and your blessing of that, that will be put in place. And I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about how we as LaPorte ISD is going to handle that, and some of the work actually we've already started to do. But right now, if you look at that policy in our manual, what you'll see is it's only medicine provided by the parent, right? So the parent brings it up, and then a nurse who's trained to give that medicine would do that. The added part to that now is district provided medicine per se, right? So that's where the actual Narcan component comes in. So we started really back in the summer, but into August, working with Billy Trader, the nurses, the SROs. Currently our SROs already carry this and they're trained and have this on them at all times. So we really wanted to kind of get ahead of this because obviously with legislation, we knew this was coming. So we spent some time in August just talking about what that looks like for us as a district, how do we even go about getting that, what does the process look like, and how does it start. So in August, we actually updated and got our standing order from a doctor to essentially be able to dispense and distribute that product in our school district. You have to start there. So we've got that obviously on file. We immediately started to train our nurses district-wide as well as our SROs. Again, they were trained briefly by the actual PD, but we went in further and brought in someone to train them. And additionally, our athletic trainers. So anybody, they're kind of in that medical field currently. I'll talk more about how that will develop into the spring. We also developed a protocol for administration of Narcan. You have to have that. It shows the signs and symptoms. It shows how to respond, the dosage, and all of that goes into that piece. And obviously, you have to have a post-incident report. So we wanted to ensure that we had all those things in place before we ever move forward with conversation of what that local policy would look like. We were blessed early October into November. Bakota, Bay Area Council of Drug and Alcohol, donated, I think, 40 boxes of some sort. So 2 per campus, and we've got it all the way out to be able to do it for 2 years in our district to us. So we're blessed for that. There was no funds needed to get that off the ground. As we speak, obviously with the approval tonight of the update, as we move into January, we will be training further and actually doing sort of the train-the-trainer model. We've got some training pieces to be able to distribute that, have the nurses train our administrators and some other kind of identified staff members based off campus input and so forth. Also with that, we have to communicate with our parents. So once the policy is fully developed, work with Dr. Jackson to get something out to our parents. And it will be targeted for campuses 6 through 12, so Baker on up. Any questions on that that you may have.
Yeah, this is
It's sad
where
that
we're
that's
at.
part of it.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. It is a sad state of affairs that we have to do this, but I'm glad for the safety of our students and staff that we are doing this. You know, perhaps we can save a life.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay?
I understand that it's required on the secondary campuses and stuff. Speaking of sad state of things, you know, things are getting younger and younger. Would it not behoove us to be proactive on our elementary campuses?
In year one, the conversation through that committee component was more about the SROs having that on that campus, and now that we have them in place, then being able to distribute that.
Okay.
And start out 612. So in the future, we can move that down further once we have a better grasp of training materials. That's really the concern, is you got to bring someone in, and it really doesn't correlate to campus settings. So we're trying to figure out what that looks like. So I would probably, in the future, you may see this come back to you and it may change to look at it.
Narcan itself isn't very expensive.
It's not, but it's hard to get it. We're not allowed to carry it without those orders in place. So now we can, so it's not that expensive as far as getting it. It's not it is, yeah. It's actually very simple. It's much like you think of when you get a cold or something, you use the
A little stronger than that.
a little stronger. There's a purpose. Any other questions on that? All right, just a quick update on bond pertaining to stadium, and I've got some Lomax points in here, but we're moving along out there. We've been blessed that we've had a little rain, but not a lot, so we've really caught up on a lot of the groundwork that we were once kind of nervous with the permitting component. But as you can see where we are, I'm not going to go through all those percentages, but it's really starting, what I like to say is taking shape. If you've been out there, you can actually see the bowl form, and I'll show you that a little bit. Some high points, or some of the key items here. On January 8th, really when we get back from Christmas break, you should start to see some of the things rise. So the steel being put in, all the footings and all those components, all the underground, the raceways and the data and all that are being put in place. Mid-January, we are anticipating putting the concrete on top of that South R tank, which has been over there by the field house. I spent some time talking about that, so we're hopeful that we can get that closed up and get to using that again in the near future.
Will the high school get their parking lot back?
We'll get that parking lot back, so once we get through some of that, yeah. But yeah, here's a good picture, kind of shows you that this now setting, looking north into G Street there, and you can see it on your left there is the home side front base wall. In the end will be covered with brick, right? And then you can see the visitor side is starting, and the bowl is starting to form. This is the home side here facing Texas Street, and what you're seeing there is a raceway, so that's data running all the way underneath there. You can see some of that, and you can see all the footers. That's where the steel will stand up, and obviously the bleachers and all that will sit on top of that piece. Flip around, now I'm looking towards the current field house, same side as home side, and you can see it's kind of hard, you'll be able to see on your printout there on the bottom, you'll see some of that wire mesh, and that's kind of the start there with the concourse. That's about as high as that would be. You'll start to see some of that move. So again, just excited. There's just a lot going on out there. Every day I go out and take a look at it, and you know, it's starting fun. So hopefully we get to a point where we can put some hard hats on everybody, and we can start taking tours out there and start seeing some of this stuff.
We can break
We
that.
did, yeah. I'll put you on a little four-wheeler out there and run around. But I found this today. We've got aerial views that come in. If you remember, we've got a camera on top of the Bulldog Center that is nonstop. So it's constantly, every 15 days, I get a new time lapse that starts literally from day one of construction to what it looks like. But I just grabbed this picture. I thought it was kind of neat because it's kind of the same of what it's going to look like, and you can literally start to see that footprint form right before your eyes. So again, just exciting components. Last piece for Lomax Junior High School, we've done a walk out there with Dr. Griffin and his team, and started to have conversations about what that project looks like. That'll be our next piece in the bond. As we start to move into January, we will start our schematic design on that. Just a reminder, obviously the plan there, and we've got to develop a budget, and all what that looks like is very early, but the preliminary plan is the competition gym, and that's up north there, you can see, setting by the football field. And then we're going to go into the current auxiliary space, auxiliary gym, renovate that out and create some fine art spaces in there, as well as doing some renovation to the current gym, new bleachers, new lights, paint, all the things that are going to go with it. In conversation, depending on budget and where we end up, the possibility of where the current fine art space is, that becomes some sort of large group setting, you know, for different professional development or whatever. new center. So more to come on Lomax. Obviously, I just kind of want to give you a little heads up on what that's going to look like. We'll have a timeline developed as we move.
Is that bottom left-hand portion, is that the fine arts?
Correct.
Correct.
That's
Yeah.
hard.
Any questions, sir?
I got one that's bond related.
Okay.
And this actually goes back to the previous bond, and I mentioned this to Dr. Jackson. When we had looked at building Bulldog Center, was to make the street around it, pretty much where the area now with the Bulldog Stadium, that champions 40 and 0 way, making the street signs Bulldog orange and things like that. And you know, I mentioned to Dr. Jackson, I said, since we're kind of already back in that area again about revisiting that, I don't know what happened to that discussion. It kind of was floated 6 years ago or so.
Dr. Robert about it, so we're gonna have to sit with you guys and kind of get specifics about what we want here.
Right.
But, we're in a stage where we're trying to do all of that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And obviously, with the new wayfinding, that'll be perfect time.
Yeah. So,
I love that you guys are doing this for the Lomax Junior High, but did you talk about the cost, or we've done that, I missed that part? What is the cost associated? This is all new stuff, right?
Yeah, so the budget right now, I think, is around 7.8 million.
Will it take away from another?
No, that was allocated when we built it. Yeah.
I got another question on Lomax Junior High. Since you're talking about new competition gym and all that, you know, at some point in the future, you know, possibly, you know, a future bond could be looking at rebuilding Lomax. I'm just throwing it out there as a possibility. I'm not saying. So the way is it going to be possible, since we're spending this money now to build something like that, looking at if we ever do have to decide that we'll be able to preserve that piece, since it won't be as old or whether standalone and all that. So
The
we'll be
immediate
able to.
conversation with the architect and the team there was that piece, keeping it alone, and it being in a position in case either that facility goes away and or build on, you know, I guess it would be north of that. But yes, absolutely.
Okay.
That will
Awesome.
be in the thought process of the design.
Okay. Awesome.
Thank you, Dr. Bronwyn.
Sure. Yeah.
We'll move on to item 12, our consent agenda. No, we're good. You get to stay this time. All right. A, determine and approve any consent agenda items. B, approve board meeting minutes. 1, regular board meeting minutes, November 14th, 2023. C, receive principal's report. 1, Early Childhood Center. 2, Bayshore Elementary. 3, College Park Elementary. 4, Heritage Elementary. 5, Jenny Reed Elementary. 6, LaPorte Elementary. 7, Leo A. Rizzuto Elementary. 8, Lomax Elementary. 9, James H. Baker 6th grade campus. 10, LaPorte Junior High. 11, Lomax Junior High. 12, LaPorte High School. 13, DeWalt High School. D, receive financial reports for October 2023. E, receive human resources report. F, approve additions to TASB policy EIC local. G, approve amendment to interlocal agreement with purchase of professional development service and materials. H, approve budget amendment. I, approve change order for Lomax Junior High track and field event renovations.
Can we pull that, please?
J, approve employment of professional staff. K, approve interlocal agreement for purchase of services related to the Texas Educator Excellence Management Systems, TEAMS. L, approve purchase of learning management system.
Hold that, please.
M, approve purchase of fencing of multiple campuses. N, approve purchase of special education contracted services. O, approve receipt and first reading of TASB local policy update 122 to legal and local policies CQB local, CSA local, DC local, EHB local, EHBC local, EHBCA local, FEA local, FFAC local, FFB local, and FL local.
Pull, please.
All right. P, approve revised LaPorte ISD Distinguished Alumni Citizens Award Program bylaws. Q, approve second semester regular school board meeting schedule. R, discuss and possible action on amendment number 1 to agreement for limitation on appraised value between the district and Stephon Company, Texas Controller Application 1545 pursuant to Chapter 3113 of the Texas Tax Code.
Does that require a separate vote since it's a change to a 313 agreement?
Probably better to do that as a separate vote. That looks like that was supposed to be the
Action discussion.
Or earlier, okay? All right, Mr. Shopping, will you read back the consent agenda?
A, B, C, 1 through 13, D, E, F, G, H, K, and N.
All right, wonderful. So we will go to item I, approve change order to Lomax Junior High Track and Field. I'm sorry. Yes, man, I'm sorry, I'm so out of it. Take a motion?
So moved.
Second. Call for the vote. All right, now we'll move to item I. Thank you.
Okay, I got a question. Can you tell us what happened to make this go up, I guess, in the most basic question?
Yep, so what is happening at Lomax Junior High is a resurfacing of the track. They come out, they'll scrape the top surface of that, which comes down to the base of it. It's an asphalt base. It's a 6-lane track. When they went in to start to scrape the top of the surface, the outside lane, pretty much the entire track surface, the outside lane was pretty much hollow, didn't have asphalt in it. So they've got to put the asphalt back in to level it out to be able to resurface it. So that's,
When was that lane an add-on, do you know?
I don't
Was it a
know that.
5-lane track at some point we added on?
Not in our tenure from what I understand, but I don't know. I know that the facility back in the 80s was kind of developed, so I'm not sure.
Dr.
But
Griffin?
we ended up finding the substance that should be there buried on the north side where we're putting in some of the jump pits. So it was something that was unexpected.
Because of course, in their work, they were expecting lane 6 to look like what lane 1 looked
Correct.
like. I just wanted an explanation because it makes sense to me.
Any other questions? I seek a motion.
So moved.
Second by Mason. Call for the vote. Passed unanimously. Item J, approve employment of professional staff.
Yeah, I just was curious. This is quite a bit of teachers coming in during this
Yes, sir.
part of the school year. I don't want to know every single teacher that left or why they left, but what is the general, are they don't want to be educators anymore? Are they not doing good or what?
Well, so one of them is a need for a campus because of numbers. That's the first one on the list for the focus program. So there's more students in that program, and then there are some that are unfortunately not able to fulfill their contract for various reasons. It could be something for their personal health reasons, or it could also be just leaving the profession.
Okay.
So a couple of things, and then the last one is a vacancy that we were able to fill now that we weren't able to fill, but we had filled it with a long term from the first part of the year.
Okay.
So that one was actually a vacancy. But, it's something that we do notice throughout the state and the nation, the teacher shortage, and unfortunately sometimes people, for whatever reason, move into the profession. And, it's not unique to LaPorte is what I'll say. We're very fortunate that out of those, 3 of them are student teachers. So
Okay.
we're able to have them come into the classes and fill those positions for us when they've been trained in the district. So.
Awesome. That was all.
Generally,
Yes, and I'll say one thing I didn't say, thank you, Dr. Jackson, one of them is a retirement. So there are times when people do make that decision to retire, or there are times, but I will say for us it's a little bit higher, but we do have some each year.
And just because I don't know, so they sign a contract. Are they breaking their contract whenever they leave? Is there a penalty for that? What is the?
So we visit with each one. Anybody that's not retiring or anybody that's not leaving for medical reasons, because there are some for medical reasons and other personal reasons. The good thing is they share that with Ms. Viator and myself. But when there is someone that just decides they're not going to come back, and I've said this before, sometimes, and there are very few, but there are some people that want the district to hold our end of the bargain for their contract, but they don't want to hold their end of the bargain for their contract. And sadly, we're just seeing more of that. And I won't even use that C word, OVID word, after that. But it just seems like things have changed. And so to answer your question, Mason, it's becoming something that districts are struggling. All right.
But what is the penalty? Like if they break the contract, is it we report them to a different?
We have done that before, and I have brought, and I am very reluctant to bring them to the board because number one, it puts a strain on the board to have to make those difficult decisions. I've done it before. I don't do it often. Sometimes people are just really blatant about, I'm leaving and I don't even want to talk to you. Well, that's not appropriate. But most will at least come in and sit down with me and the executive director. But in short, to answer your question, we're noticing there's not a lot of teeth into this. And so I don't want to put my board through that if somebody's not going to support it beyond us.
The Texas Education Agency in the past had what they called mitigating factors that we had to consider, and there was a short list. Unfortunately, the list has grown since COVID, as Dr. Jackson said, and maybe it was just a timing, teacher shortages perhaps, but the list has grown to almost anything that perhaps could be considered for that. So that being said, we certainly could, but when we went to a presentation that TEA was doing, the number that they actually sanctioned to go through with that after this lengthy process that you all are part of and we're a part of is under 10%. And so it's very small, unfortunately. And we certainly want people to honor their contracts, and we do have, as you can tell, over 450 teachers that are doing just that. But we do try to hear out some people, and some people do have some legitimate reasons for needing to do those things.
Yeah.
And so,
Well, one of the reasons I was asking if we're hiring somebody, and I didn't know if there was a database or something that kept track of it, because, I mean, in theory, I wouldn't think we'd want someone that's left 6 different school districts in December, and then we'd come over here to us. That was why I
We're
was
very
asking.
careful of that.
very much so, and we do have our internal processes, working with Dr. Jackson and our administration to make sure that we definitely know and don't want to have, because we won't keep people who are doing what I think. So,
Thank you, Ms. Beaver.
you're welcome.
I seek a motion. Second of Mr. Perez. Call for the vote. Passed unanimously. Move to item L, approve purchase of the learning management system.
Oh, yeah, okay. Okay. As far as Schoology, great product, and I've used it. It's simple, easy to use. I wish we had this when we had that semester where we were split between in-person and virtual, but I'm glad, yeah. But my question is, and trying to get in the heads of the powers that be, because, I've come from a district that we've used Schoology now for several years. But now we're moving away from Schoology and going to Canvas, and I've heard the reason why is to be more in line with what colleges are using. And so I guess to kind of get the thought process here of, and not saying just because one district is doing this, we need to go do that, but I'm trying to get, okay, what's the reasoning behind all this? So I guess my question is, has there been some thought processes to, are we trying to maybe, when we're looking at a management system, to looking at, is it, comparable, something to prepare the kids to see in when they go to post-secondary education, so.
Good question. So this process of looking at LMS has been since last year. So we have been vetting it with Canvas and other LMSs across the state just to see what would fit best for LaPorte. We met with Canvas, we met with a vendor, we had many conversations about what they offer. You're right, our colleges do use Canvas. The issue is because of our eSchool. What we found out is when we talked with districts who use Canvas who has eSchool, they had a lot of issues with alignment and making sure that it works well together. And so since we are an eSchool district, a power school district, power school aligns with Schoology. And so that's the reason why we chose Schoology. And it's because of the alignment with eSchool.
And my next question probably be more technical. You may not be able to answer it tonight, or maybe like a follow-up. But like with Schoology, I know there's a way, like if a teacher grades through Schoology, it can sync. We use Skyward, but report you that home access center. So does Schoology speak the home access center? Does it link up so if the teacher grades, it will go? Goes all those?
It does. So we'll just have to figure out, like you said, a lot of districts, Schoology, depends on how they play well together. We just have to work with our tech department to make sure that it aligns in terms of, because we don't have Skyward, we have Power School. But we'll make sure. That's the reason we're choosing Schoology. Looking at all the pros and cons for both Canvas, Schoology, and some others, we felt like this one, with in terms of pros, we had more that fits LaPorte. But one of the reasons that we want to go towards an LMS is that connection with parents, making sure that communication is clear, making sure that parents are able to look at students' work, and the teachers are able to have their work in one place for students to look at.
One more piece, when the state or COVID pushed out the Schoology fees, it was pushed out statewide over price. This district actually grabbed kind of the introductory phase to Schoology, so we already had that in the system. So this is a quicker installation.
Is Blackboard only used for universities?
No.
Because I would think if they offered some sort of program that was conducive to high school students, what a smooth transition that would be. Because, I mean, I know a lot of colleges use Blackboard, even San Jacinto College, so wish there was something like that.
Yeah, I was just gonna reiterate what you said. The key piece that you mentioned about the pass back for grades is the piece that some districts struggle with Schoology who have Skyward. And so that is the key function for teachers that we felt was the tipping point for us and why Schoology is a better product. It's the family of products. Schoology and Power School are owned by the same folks, and so the pass back or CMS. That was crucial for us. So.
And the timeline is year one, so which is next year. It's really just for the curriculum department to have all of their curriculum in-house in there. So it's really an introductory year for teachers to utilize and use Schoology in terms of how it works. Year two is the implementation where we train teachers and get them into Schoology for themselves. So next year is really just us playing with it, letting teachers play with it, let them understand how it works, and then we'll just take it year by year.
And one last thing, for future way down the road, because teachers will build curriculum and stuff like that. If y'all ever do decide to switch to something else, have a transition period to transfer, because it's going to be...
You're speaking from experience, right?
Yes. So,
On the bid that is in there, I noticed that the attendance number was roughly 7,300 and something, and our latest figure was 7,150. Will that change the price if we put the accurate number in there?
It will. It's by licensed number of students, so that will all pan out. We put that as just a buffer, but once we get the contract in, they'll reimburse us in terms of what we need in terms of the enrollment, because really it's by license of students utilizing it.
Licensure. Okay. All right. Thank you.
I'd sent had a correspondent with Ms. Abrams about it. We're using
Poor thing.
this system in the private sector also, and it's been a game changer for sure. The retention, the access, the control, where we can pass down and change content across every platform at every location, every team member. It's been a big step for us, and I think it's going to do the same here. So it's good to see.
and also the collaboration piece is cannot be overstated, because if you get a new teacher coming in, let's say a teacher now, we just proved that December, hey, I got some resources, I can easily share, those resources very easily, so.
Thank you all.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Let's take a motion.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Yondo. Call for the vote. It does pass unanimously. Thank you. We'll go to item M, approved purchase of fencing on multiple campuses.
Okay. I think Mason pulled this, but
Yeah, but the only thing we're concerned about was, and it may be nitpicky, but if you look at the date on the first few pages, it says 7/25, and then if you go in the middle of the page, it says quotes good for 30 days. So if we approve it, are we gonna have to redo this?
No, and so that's why the 500,000 is there, because it gives us some room to be able to have those adjustments.
Okay.
So in last conversation, we had phases of fencing, but I wanted to go ahead and get it in front of you to be able to go ahead and get those things in order for some of the campuses that we were talking about.
and these are with the new requirements,
Correct.
the safety requirements that the state's holding us to,
That's
that
correct.
they're not funding.
That's correct.
I just want to say that again.
100% true.
They're making us do
One more
it,
time.
but, so it's yet another unfunded mandate.
Correct.
I
This
just
goes
wanna
back
say
to the
that again.
film or the fence.
Yeah.
Yes, right. But these are not going to be, I mean, they're going to be the right height, the right,
8 foot. yeah.
all their
All
requirements.
fence, yeah.
Okay.
Those are some big, I mean, we went to Jenny Reed today for a retirement party, and I mean, you
Yes.
could keep giraffes in these fences. I mean, they're ginormous fences, so.
Yeah.
But, I know, that was a horrible, thing to say, but, I'm only 12, guys. But so, we built some fences and having to redo them. Why is that? Because the guidelines have changed, or we just
Because they were
Just
done incorrect.
wrong? Okay.
That's Rizzuto only. Everything else has been right. The Rizzuto part, but we're gonna be able to reuse that fence.
What about the one at the auxiliary field?
Yeah.
Wasn't it a short one and we changed it to
We
a
did,
tall one?
yes, that one's been done already. Yes, here over across the street.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Was that our error or the fence person's error? Or did we have to change it because the law changed?
Because wasn't there a short chain link black
We
fence?
changed it. We changed it with the law. It was the short fence that we had there. That was there
Yeah,
forever.
We changed that early on. That was one of the first ones we did with LBJ and LPD.
So that fence around the auxiliary field was already there
Say it again, we had a short fence there already.
prior to the bond?
Yes.
Okay. That was what, okay. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I seek a motion. Seconded. Call for a vote. It is unanimous, thank you. We'll go to item O, approve receipt and first reading of TASB local policy update 122 to legal and local policies CQB local, CSA local, DC local, EHB local, EHBC local, EHBCA local, FEA local, FFAC local, FFB local, and FL local. Why do I feel like I got played?
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
That's okay, you can sit down. I was just asking. No, but seriously, I did pull it for a reason. I may have missed something, but I saw a lot of it was kind of a synopsis and all that. Did they have the actual language of what we're going to be adopting word for word, the changes to the policies? Because it has the explanatory notes and the synopsis, but I didn't see the actual
Yeah,
language
so-
of what we'll be adopting.
There is a red line for local that we can provide to you. I did not put it on there.
Okay.
It's so much to.
I know, it's a lot, but yeah.
So we can definitely share it. All the legal, remember, really is out of our control per se.
Right.
We live in the local. The legal
Local.
is more just about us having an understanding of it. So I think this affects 9 local policies very minimally. So I can get the red line to you.
Yeah,
It's still
a
first
link or
reading,
something
so
or
if we
something.
needed to, then we
Yeah,
could-
I like it.
Yes.
Okay, appreciate it. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions, board? Can I seek a motion?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Second by Ms. Crusher. Call for the vote. It is unanimous. Thank you. We'll go to P, approve revised report ISD Distinguished Alumni Citizens Award Program bylaws.
I just had a couple questions about this, and I may just be reading it wrong, so that's why I want to clarify. Did I read that once someone's nominated you, and the committee decided not to go with that person, that you can't be considered for 3 more years after that?
No, that's not part of the change. You have 3 years. Once you're nominated, you have 3 years. And then after that 3 years, you can actually be re-nominated.
Okay,
You
so
don't-
your nomination sits in the committee for 3 years?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. And then the other thing I didn't like, well, not that was the one I didn't like, excuse me, was a teacher had to be a member of LaPorte ISD for a minimum of 10 years. You know, to me, I'm going to use this as an example, and it could be taken a different way, but like Pat Studdard, he may have not been a teacher for 10 years, but he sure made a hell of a difference in the community and continued to give to LaPorte ISD, whether he was a trustee or not, you know, but I just think you can do great things and be contributing to the district in a shorter amount of time than 10 years. So,
Yeah. Well, there's language in that, and that's actually when the committee was looking at creating this award, to kind of expand it to include staff, was looking at some of the other school districts, and most of them had a minimum of 10, because it was kind of like, well, you know, if someone's there only for 3 years out of their 20-year career, you know, and I agree, there could be a certain circumstance where it may be someone that, for health reasons, leaves after 8 or whatever, but there is a kind of a roundabout way that that person could still be nominated, because there's language in there, and it's actually additional language that says the board, you know, could actually, regardless of that, still be able to nominate that person or whatever, if they feel truly that that person is deserving of
See
an
the weight
award.
and circumstances.
So then why
Yeah.
put the 10 years in there if there's a workaround around it? I guess with my,
Well,
is
it's
another point.
I mean, it's kind of the exception rule and kind of deal, kind of like the Chelsea Wheeler. I kind of like to say the Chelsea Wheeler exception, because if you remember, in that one, it was absent of an application. Well, in this case, you know, it's actually codified in there that there's a way that, you know, if someone feels of exceptional circumstances, that they could actually, that person could be nominated.
So what would you feel comfortable with that year being, not 10?
0. I mean, not 0, but I don't think that there needs to be a requirement. I think that the staff member has the possibility to do amazing things, and I don't think it's up to that committee to decide whether they can do great things in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, so.
Well, in that case, we change the statements, right? If they have to graduate in 10 years, and we make the same choice for students.
Yeah, good idea. I don't see the point in the time limit, time constraints on any of these. Melissa's point, I missed that, but I mean, that's just my opinion. If the board wants to go with it, that's fine. I'm just sharing my thoughts.
When do things open up? January. Begin, like,
Next month.
before our next meeting, or by our next meeting.
Yeah, around that time.
And they're usually open through early June, late May,
Spring
early
break.
June.
I see that the board president appoints the 2 from the board representatives. Who appoints the business representatives?
It still says the board
The
president,
board president as well.
with approval from the entire board.
Right.
Well,
It's never seen
that's the red, that's the change. Before it was, if you look at the line item that was struck, it was named by the committee as a whole. So the committee got to choose themselves who the rest of the members were. The change would be, it would be nominated by the board president, but it would come to the board. So
For
you would
approval.
still, for approval. So you could still, there'll be a little more, so you know who is you're actually appointing to the board. I mean, to the committee, I mean. Because the original language was it was named by committee as a whole. Well, the committee themselves would appoint whoever, you never knew who was on the committee. That never came before the board, so the point, last time you ever saw who was on the committee was back when we first
Formed
appointed,
it.
back in 2016 or wherever, when it first started, so.
Except for the 2 board members that are on.
Except for the 2 board members, yeah. But that was the board's president part of the pick, and that didn't even go before the board either. So the language is, the board president, if the board should adopt this change, the board president would adopt the 2 trustees, whoever that may be, the superintendent, of course, with the administration, you know, the teachers,
We
the
have
principal.
non-voting members.
Yeah, non-voting members. And then the rest would be, the board president would nominate someone, but it would have to get approval with the majority of the board.
I'm kind of with you, Mason, on I can get to both sides of the argument on the numbers, the kind of arbitrary number of, I'm not, years of service, right? So I kind of tend to lean towards what Mason's saying. The other thing, Dave, I appreciate you spending a ton of time on this, so again, thank you for that. The only thing I really just don't like is having the committee being able to singularly go and say, if there's not an application, they can come up with somebody. I like that was put in the hands of the board for that special case when we trustee Chelsea Wheeler, right? That was a board decision. I prefer to have that, something that it's not an application, that's in the hands of our board and not, looking at this, nothing against it, but it's primarily staff, right? I would just prefer that if there's not an application written, because there's always some really good people, but if there's an extenuating circumstance, that should be brought to the board. So,
Well, It would still be brought to the board, and actually, it's very limited for several reasons on the committee. So one is, absent application, let's say the committee, well, two things. You know, one of the things about serving on the committee is there's a private right to actually nominate. And I feel like in some way, in some degrees, that's almost a punishment in a way. I think they could have at least maybe some say as a committee as a whole, to be able to say, hey, what? You know, we're looking at these applications, man, we've never seen this person ever get nominated. I think we should maybe bring this up. A, number one, it's gotta be unanimous consent. So A, you got high standards, first of all, that everybody's gotta approve. So it's gonna have to be someone that no one has questions about. And two, the board is still, in the language, the final say. So no matter what the committee recommends, or if it's, you know, and it's also limited to one person a year. So it's got to be someone that A, has never had an application, B, it's only limited to one, and they're also restricted by, they cannot exceed the number of wards allowed per category. So there's some restrictions involved in that. But if it's someone that is unanimous, that someone in the committee recommends, it still has to go before the board for final approval. So the board is still going to have a final say on that.
For your example, is saying if there's already an award of a recipient in that particular category, that's when they bring this up. So this is after the fact, after they've gone through the whole process.
Then the board would have
No,
say.
it would be during the process.
No, on the committee, right? Like, so like, I just don't want somebody bumped, some good applicant bumped because the committee says, well, we want to bring in XYZ that didn't have application for a, whatever it may be, whatever category. Right, so they take that spot and say, you're saying it's only one per spot, so.
One per at all, one individual at all in any category. So,
One per year,
no matter what, one person per year. So it's gotta be someone they feel
I would
strongly.
hope the committee would not use that power.
Yeah.
But I
But they
get
have
what
it.
Jeff said, you don't want them to
Right.
abuse it either.
So maybe we need to, maybe add, want to add some language in there.
About that.
What's the
But also want to, if they get, but I also want to see like what the committee looks at these applications, like, these are not strong applications. But man, why does this person never get nominated? So maybe they bring forth, hey, this person could be a good candidate. You know, the workings of the committee, but also I don't want, people serving on the committee not have some kind of say in, because they're serving on the committee, they're deprived of recommending somebody, per se.
The good thing is, it's the board's decision how this goes. And even if you decide you don't want to open it up in January and you want to have one more look at it, you can just give us the direction and we open it up in February. Because we're not going to do anything for it with that data for a good while. So if you decided you wanted the committee to meet again and meet with Mr. Holland, have more conversations about that based on what y'all are bringing up, just table it. And then we don't open it up in January, so you've got time. I always say it's better to just measure it 25 times and cut once, right, and get it right. So it's up to you, Mr. President and Board, whatever y'all like to do.
Would you
we certainly are willing to help work through that with y'all.
Would you accept a motion to table it till the next meeting?
Sure. Do I have a second?
Before I do that, is there any other issue besides what Jeff brought up about the years?
Can the board send an email to the board president with the issues? That way it's in writing and we can.
This is more for you, I don't know if it's within the bylaws, but I had several people requesting, if at all possible, just in future years, if we can invite all past recipients to be included in the luncheon. And so if we could, buy them a lunch for them and their spouse or whoever else.
We can reserve a table with you for that. When you brought it up to me the last time, we can make that happen. That's really easy to do. And we should already be doing it, but we can make that happen. I think that's all. Perfect.
So I hear we're gonna send further comment to me for review, and then we will have another meeting about it. So I do have a
Motion to table.
motion to table. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Shopping. We will table this.
I'm gonna make an amendment to the motion.
Okay, fine.
That we table it to January.
To January's meeting.
It's fine.
Okay. We need a second for that, all right? Second. Got Jeff, call for a vote. All right, we will table it till the January meeting, thank you. We'll go to, Item Q, approve second semester regular school board meeting schedule.
Yeah, this one may be semi-selfish, but I know Deanna and I are going to be out of town for the school district event on the February meeting. I don't know if we can review other dates to see. I don't know if anybody else is going on that training or advocacy trip either, so that's just a thought. It didn't matter if you decide no.
Well, technically, we're always open the fourth Tuesday.
It really, you know, with all due respect, it doesn't require any board action, because y'all could just talk to the board president and say, we'll just hold it on the floor if you choose to do that. And then you won't have to modify it.
So you're saying approve it as it is, and then we can change it later if we need to.
But if you want it to be in the
We wouldn't need an
minutes, you can do that.
It doesn't matter if that's fine with everybody. I think it's probably better to put it in Word. Let me go see what that date is.
February 27th would be the fourth Tuesday.
Yeah. I'd like to amend this to say that the February meeting should be held on February 27th rather than the 13th. Is that okay, Chris?
Okay. No. That's all I'm saying, I'm looking for anything here.
Well, it's supposed to be available for the second and fourth, no matter what, so.
Okay. So we still have to have a motion for that?
Yes.
Okay. To make,
You don't have a motion yet, it's not on the, you can just change it, and then move to adopt it.
Okay.
It's not.
What he said. I don't know how to
We
word
make
that.
a motion that we move to adopt it with the following change.
I make a motion that we move to adopt this item with the change to the 27th in February.
Second.
Second on Ms. Thompson, call for the vote. Thank you. Guys, I apologize, I am definitely fading, my medicine has worn off completely, so. And we'll get to item
Almost there, we're
R.
almost there.
Alright.
I'm back.
Item R, to discuss and possible action on Amendment 1 to agreement for limitation on appraised value between the district and Stepline Company, Texas Comptroller Application 1545 pursuant to Chapter 313 of the Texas Tax Code.
I'll make a motion, we approve this, change.
Got a motion by Ms. Thompson, and a second.
Second.
Second by Mason, call for the vote. It is unanimous, thank you. We'll go to item 13, action and/or discussion items, approve proposed 2024-2025 academic calendar.
Good evening, Board President Hanks, members of the trustees, and Superintendent Jackson. I have two wonderful, lovely educators here with me. They've been listening all night. I know, they've been here all night. And
For your patience.
They're loving it. Let me go ahead and get started on our slide deck. So we have this evening, we want to present to you our 24-25 proposed calendar. And we have two lovely educators here, Tony Florak and also Ashley O'Malley, and they are here as DIC members to talk through the calendar.
Good evening, President Hanks and Board of Trustees and Superintendent Jackson. Just to reintroduce myself, my name is Tony Horak. I teach first grade at Bayshore Elementary, and I have served in Porte ISD for 17 years.
My name is Ashley O'Malley. I teach math resource at LaPorte High School. I have been with the district since first grade, but teaching since Mason was in my 6th grade class.
About 4 years, huh?
Yeah.
Just a few years.
That's enough.
You brought it on yourself.
So we come to you this evening to represent the DEIC committee and share with the board the district calendar selection for the 2024-25 school year. But before, as a committee, DEIC, we had several choices, and we came together as a meeting for DEIC, and we looked at specific calendars, and we asked questions. Does this align with our neighboring districts? Does this align with San Jacinto College? And we had different questions like, Deer Park and Clear Creek ISD, and all those questions were answered. And so we came down to two options. There was option A and option B, and when we came to those two options, a survey was put on the LaPorte website, and it started on November 17th. It ran for 2 weeks till December 3rd for the community and staff to vote on their option. And the calendar in front of you is the one that was selected by the majority of the survey participants. And that's what we're going to present to you today, and some of the highlights.
Alright, as you're looking at the calendar, we'd like to share a few key dates. New teachers will report on August 1st. All other teachers will report on August 5th, with the first day of school being August 14th. There is an extended break in October and February, with 2 built-in exchange days for teachers in October and April. This year is a presidential election. Therefore, many of our campuses will be used as a polling station. We feel strongly that November 5th needs to be a student holiday. Teachers will have PD on this day. Winter break will be December 23rd, with students returning on January 8th. Spring break aligns with San Jack and will be March 7th through the 21st. 17th, yeah. 7th through the 21st. You know, we were real generous this year. This is a week later than we typically have had spring break. The last day of school will be on May 29th, with the academy graduating on the 29th and the high school graduating on May 30th. Are there any questions
or comments?
What are the bad weather days? Is that a new thing today?
By my understanding, the bad weather days are implemented in there in case of a hurricane, and I think that is required by the state that we put those in there. And so we have to have certain kind in case of, like, we have floods or fires or hurricanes or yes, or things like that happen, and so that just allows that where we can make up days that the state does not forgive.
So it's marked for, like, say, October 15th and February 18th. Those are like placeholders right now?
Yes, so if you had to use them, you would no longer be off. We would have to attend school.
Yes.
Well, we have a combination. So we have actually extra minutes built in the day of about 2.5 days with this calendar. So if we were to miss 2.5 days, we would not have to make those time up and still have the minimum required of 75,600. If we needed more than that, we have those 2 days. The law requires, even though we have excess minutes, we still have to identify 2 days we may never need to use.
And there wasn't a concern with both of those being I say relatively early, but historically, our stuff has happened, well, again, in the spring with ITC, with COVID and some different things like that. So we're comfortable with the 2 days. If, let's say we don't use anything in the spring, or we have to use those other 2 days, we're comfortable with the 2 carryover days in the second half without having a bad weather day.
Yeah, I think with the build it in time of the 2.5 days, plus the weather days, I think it would take extraordinary circumstances.
Right.
I think you went beyond that.
Who sees those?
And then we have all other issues we need to worry about before we get to that.
Generally speaking, that's a very good point. But generally, if it's that many days,
The state forgives.
the state decides
Yeah.
to say, look, y'all, we're gonna forgive all of these things.
Exactly.
Right.
What were the survey results? Do you have those?
Okay, we had 1,396 responders.
Are they divvied up by parents and students?
No.
Okay.
It was
Not
anonymous.
students,
We don't know
okay.
who
Faculty.
voted. You could have gone on there and voted 100 times if you wanted to.
I only did 4.
Okay. So no, it was 53.7% for calendar A, which is the one you have in front of you, and 46.3 for calendar B. So it was fairly close.
Yeah.
I had a question.
Yes, sir.
On, the committee look at, it has holiday for October 15th, and I get about Election Day, because it's going to be a presidential election, it's going to be high turnout, you don't want kids in the building, when you have people coming to vote and all that. But, does the committee look at maybe moving the 15th of being a holiday to the 4th, so you wouldn't have students showing up Monday, and then now they're out again, and then back on Wednesday, and instead of just having being off 4th and 5th and then have a 3-day week as opposed, and then you have a 4-day week on the week of October 14th. You know what I'm saying?
I know as a teacher that 5-day weekend in October was a big selling point. This year we tried the October break and it was nuts. So I know we're really
Well, and I know we did, at some point, I don't know who had the conversation at what point, we did have the conversation at one point about whether or not to do the 4th and 5th off. And it was just, this is the way it landed after all the discussions.
And that also has to do with the grading calendars. We want to make sure that we get, for that week, get all that in before the teachers go into other conferences.
I was really surprised by these results. I did my own survey by asking random teachers and parents, and everybody said B. So I think it was really, I was really shocked by these results.
Well, it's only if you can apply, you said you can apply 100 times. I know it's kind of a joke, but really, is there a way to shore that up in the future where you can apply one time?
The only way to do would be to ensure that, like, you would have to put your name and all that in there, and then just a way to make sure that the spreadsheet didn't have multiples the same. But even then, you could still lie and say, hey, I'm Johnny Smith, and then I'm this. And so there's really no way. I mean, for district people, we could do it where it would show you know, your email login, but you as an outsider, the district, there's no way for us to do
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I'm more interested in the district, like, perspective. Like, these things you talk to a bunch of teachers, and I talked to a bunch of teachers. Like, last year, my issue is always going to be, like, the start date, how early it is, because last year was earlier than it's ever been in our history. So, again, I know we want the communities, but you got to open up that can of worms for the community. We saw this with graduation and numerous other things, where you're going to get just kind of mess. I have more, me personally, emphasis on the ISD. So if we can shore that up, to say, what do the teachers truly want, not just one teacher voting 75 times. To me, that's a lot more,
I doubt, and I know you're not saying this, but I doubt anybody's voting out.
But they could, they said you could.
But technically, you could.
theoretically, yes.
But if you're able to use like employee ID, and I'm okay with whatever y'all decide, but if y'all are able to use employee ID for, you know, log in for doing it, we can use our student IDs, our child's IDs, so that we're going by our student, and then you don't have duplicates that way. And we're legit parents also voting for it.
And
Next
this is
year.
not, I don't think this is being implied in any way, but this is not administrative led, because even the days that the teachers are off, we're still working. So it doesn't matter which calendar. The principal, we're on 240 days, right?
teacher has
So
no
whatever day that the teachers are off, we're still here on those days. So it was truly the parents and teachers that are saying, here's what we value more. The administration doesn't have a real running this.
Last year, I feel like we pushed and then we ended up changing back and everything. So I would just like to trust the committee this year. That's my personal opinion. So that everybody else.
My only question is, what is the, on the start date, is it the same as it was last year, or have we pushed it up one?
No, it's right at the same, that second full week, like the Wednesday, yes.
And we looked at other districts, they're actually, their teachers returning back, actually all the districts in South Carolina, most of them are at the week. So everybody just really returning that week. So we make sure no one's returning by July 31st. Our new teacher academy will be starting the first December.
Yes.
Explain to us the teacher exchange days, what those mean?
So it's a reward for doing professional development in the summer.
like this.
Yes. So you have X amount of hours to complete in the summer, and if you get it done in your allotted amount of time, in exchange, you get these days off. If you don't do the PD, you have to show up to work.
Yes. And the difference is this year, and this was a recommendation by the principals, which we really did like, was like this year, exchange days are at the very end of the school year. So after graduation, the teachers have not completed their hours, they would have to come back after Memorial Day. Where this year, that the 2 days are built into the calendar, that way the teacher gets that done, that rewards them with an extra day during the school year as they break.
And it looks like they are positioned along weekends to
Yes.
maximize that benefit. Okay,
Yes.
I like that.
And this year, and with this calendar, we only have to get 12 hours of exchange day credit versus like 18. Like we did.
So really, I'm looking at the calendar for this current year, so it looks like the start date's the same, but we're pushing the last day of school back a week, is that right?
Correct.
With this calendar A.
Yes.
To me, it just kind of doesn't make, take it from outside perspective here, but you're going to have a 3-day weekend, come back for 2.5 days. To me, not that I don't say that much is going on. I know every day in school is very valuable. But after STAR testing and other things, you kind of slow down. So, are parents going to send their kids for those 2.5 days? Are they going to take a trip early? I know those are not things. Yeah, we're going to have an attendance problem. It just doesn't make sense to me personally. And I know I should never go against my former teachers. But I'm going to give you credit. But I would support.
We have the same problem when we get out.
Yeah.
Before, we still have the same people taking an early vacation or not showing up for finals. So
Yeah.
I think no matter where you end, you're gonna
Have the same problem.
If I may, if I may, I think there's a lot of speculation on an assumption today, rightfully so, because I think we've opened ourselves up to some questions. But I would defer, obviously you guys did the legwork, and I do what Jeff said in terms of I take more credence to what the teachers like at this point because of a number of reasons. But I do think next year we probably should shore up the survey results to give us more confidence in those numbers. But at this point, the numbers, we need to go with the numbers that are presented to this point. We can pick apart anything and talk ourselves in a circle, and I don't want to go against what the will of the teachers are at this point.
But so I'm trying to figure out where is the lack of the confidence because there was a vote.
No, just saying that the people could vote multiple times.
He means the poll.
The poll.
That's all. So my question to the board is, should we not even ask stakeholders and just let teachers vote?
That's what I'd say.
I mean, because we could just easily stop asking parents what they think about it and just let you work for the Porte ISD and only the people here, and then that computer and that name, you get a chance to vote with your name, and that's it.
I'm not answering that.
But I will tell you that every district has a survey that is given to the community.
I know.
So it's not just teachers. And they do a calendar, the community gets to vote also, not just teachers. I think you have to. I just had a thought. Maybe you just do 2 surveys. There's one you do one which is specifically for
Yes.
staff. That way you could capture that piece, and then do one maybe which is open to the public.
That'd be a great idea.
I know. We'll have a conversation about
Which one's gonna carry the weight?
But it would allow y'all that conversation to go back to it.
But I also do agree with Ms. Crutcher, the fact that every student does have an ID number, and every teacher does have an ID number. So if we somehow link it to that ID number, I think that would help control the votes.
You just would run into, if I have 5 kids, I have 5 ID numbers.
Yeah, oh, that's true.
Right. And well,
That's true.
Who has that many kids?
Well, you can still, and the employee can still vote in the employee one, but when you open it up to the public, I can still go in and do the same thing
Yeah.
again. You're still going to get multiple.
For the sake of time, board, I ask that we consider what we've been presented today, and we take up this discussion further about next year or at a later time.
That's fair. I just want to make one comment because I'm going to vote no, and it's not because I don't appreciate the work you guys do, and I absolutely do. It's because they're coming from a family of educators. My argument last year was that you're continuing to, we put a lot of emphasis on mental health days during the school year, which is absolutely relevant, 100%. I'm all for that. But to me, a bigger thing is the value of a summer vacation. And so last year we cut it, it was the shortest we've had by moving it up earlier, and now cutting off another week, or pushing back the end day another week. Again, that's cutting up another week of your summer vacation. So for me personally, I know it's going to pass, and I'm great with that. I'll go with the will of the board. But personally, I want you to understand when I vote no, it's because I really value the summer, like the break that these teachers, you guys get during the summer, and I hate that we're having to shorten that yet again.
But I don't think we are.
They're
because
pushing it back a week.
Well, we moved the start date last year. Remember, you didn't like the start date for the new teachers and all that, so we made adjustments. Now we're not starting until August 1st, and that's what you asked for last year.
No, but Dr. Brown has said the start date this on this proposed calendar is the same as we had it this year.
same week.
The only thing that's different is it's a full week. The end date is a full week after. So is that correct? Like they're getting, unless I'm doing Aggie math
No,
here.
I'm saying August 1st,
Hey, wait.
right, is the start date for new teachers.
Not even return to August 5th. So August 5th Monday is when everyone.
Right, which that's what's current, like this current
So
calendar
they
we're in
can
right
have
now.
off June, July, and
June, July.
It's say
No,
90.
no, but what I'm saying is they got off, look, they had a full week of May, this current year, they're off.
The week
But
of
from
Memorial.
what you're getting at though, you got
Word.
committee of educators that said, you know what, we prefer to exchange that week for an extra some days during the break during the year, because there's still gonna be 187 no matter what. But from what I'm hearing is the educators that are representing the educators in y'all's campuses have decided to come forth and say, you know what, we'll sacrifice that week of summer vacation so that we can have some breaks during the school year, you know, so that we can be 100% for our students and give 100% for our students throughout between August and May. Did I hear that correctly?
That is correct.
Thank you.
I totally understand that. That's why I wanted to just clarify. When you see me vote no, it's not because,
Yeah.
it's just, I can't, I live with an educator and I can't reconcile going
If he
up and
doesn't
tell her,
vote
I'm showing
that
up.
way, she's gonna.
I understand your concerns and where you're coming from, Mr. Martin, but also, it also comes with our parents that we do have the longer break in February and October. And if you look at June and July, everyone goes on vacation because a lot of people are off. And so this can kind of scatter out the vacation schedule. And your Disney World is cheaper in October, and your Disneyland is cheaper in February.
Can anybody afford to go to Disney
And so if they
World?
want to take that long weekend, they can do it then. And some of the parks, off-season, off-peak.
I agree with Danny. We're probably just going to talk in circles, but
I would like to make a motion that we approve the calendar as presented by the
Second.
DEIC.
Seconded by Mr. Shopping, call for the vote.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank y'all.
Appreciate it.
All right. 5-2, we're gonna move on to action on closed session items. There are no action items in closed session. We'll go to closing comments of the board of trustees and the superintendent. Open floor, Mason, go ahead.
I'm going to apologize to everyone in the room. I don't usually read a long statement, but today I feel like I need to. I sit up here today as a trustee, but as someone who has witnessed the immense dedication and resilience of our teachers and staff within Porte ISD. It is with a heavy heart and a deep sense of concern that I share some of the challenges that I have seen in the last week that they face on a daily basis. Recently, I had the unfortunate experience of seeing a beautiful teacher show me a scar on her stomach caused by a student wielding a pencil. Another teacher faced an astonishing 85+ reportable cases of physical aggression points in just one day at one of our campuses. And these are not isolated incidents, but rather a reflection of the difficult reality our educators confront within our classrooms on a day-to-day basis. What strikes me even more profoundly is the unwavering commitment of these teachers. Each morning, before the sun rises, they put a smile on, step into the classroom to teach our students. Yet the challenges, they don't end there. They arrive to find lack of supplies, their personal pencils broken or taken, and still they persevere. They teach their classes, often leaving at the end of the school day to go spend their own money on different supplies and things for their classrooms and students that they should never have to purchase. But the struggle also continues more. A teacher might go through a day, get bitten by a student, which I didn't know that happens, but it happens quite a bit, spend their hard-earned money on supplies, and finally return home. Yet, the work does not stop. They dedicate their evenings to grading papers, inputting grades, facing the daunting task of meeting state-mandated reports that seem to add more burden than value. And this is just a Monday. Then they wake up on Tuesday and do the same thing over and over again. Our teachers in Porte ISD and educators across the country are not just overworked, they are underpaid for the invaluable service they provide to our community. It is our duty as representatives of this community to stand in solidarity with them and offer the support that they so rightfully deserve, and I think this board does that. But I think it was important for the board and myself in saying this, that we recognize the sacrifices they do. We get up here, we get caught up in the finance reports, we get caught up in the human resources reports, but when it comes down to it, it's education, and these teachers are just faced with so many different struggles, getting bitten, getting stabbed, getting spit on. It's ridiculous. And public education is hard, and we will continue to get harder with our state's current leadership. But I want to thank the principals and administrators in the room and the teachers and staff watching these meetings to know that the board is committed to helping you succeed, and we recognize the challenges that you're going through. So with that, thank you.
I just want to say thank you for a great first semester, and I hope you go into the holiday break with a chance to relax, a chance for peace, a chance to bond with family and friends, and to really just have some time for yourselves as well. I wish that not only for our teachers and staff, but for our students and families. I hope everybody finds a sense of, community and family during this time, and that we come back in the new year strong and ready for everything that's to come. So have a wonderful holiday season.
Mr. Wilkins, great meal. Thank you so much. All of y'all. It was awesome. That's the only thing I have to say.
I'll echo that sentiment, and also to our friends from Porte Elementary. They did a phenomenal job. We appreciate all that you guys do, all the work, as Melissa said, during the semester and throughout the year. So just wish you guys all the very best. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. And again, I just want to reiterate, when I ask questions or we say no, something is, we know how much you guys work on it, and it's not because we don't have full faith in the staff, and the work you're doing, Dr. Jackson. We appreciate you guys bringing these things to us. And again, we look forward to a phenomenal spring semester.
I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I'm sure all of y'all are looking forward to the holidays, and I know y'all gonna finish strong, and wish each and every one of you the best.
Since no one mentioned these community events, I guess I'll do that. I want to say that Christmas on Main I thought was probably the most well-attended event that I've seen in an awfully long time. Looked like a lot of families were out there having fun and enjoying the beginning of the season. So appreciate all the efforts that went in to make that a success, from the city to the chamber to the school district as well. The student performances were phenomenal, and seeing all the parents out there, it was just really nice. I know we've all been crisscrossing the district, reading in elementary schools and going to band concerts and choir concerts and orchestra and ASL, which is one of my favorites. And I also want to say a special thank you to the LaPorte Education Foundation for awarding the Innovative Teacher Grants. We appreciate their generosity each and every year of recognizing our teachers, and wish you all a happy holiday season full of health and blessings and joy. And if you're one of the lucky people that are near retirement and are retiring the end of the year, God bless you. Thank you for your service, and we wish you well in your retirement.
I say Merry Christmas.
We had earlier we had spoken about a topic, and we talked about the seeing a lot of the procedures and practices and systems that have been implemented over the last 18 to 24 months, and that they're starting to come to harvest, and we're starting to see the fruits of the labor and the sacrifices and the commitment. And I urge everybody to continue to stay patient and vigilant and watch those. The fruits of your labor are truly starting to shine. It's evident in all the corners of our community. I was blessed with an opportunity this past weekend to go to the community civic club, give out some bikes out there, and to see the genuine appreciation and the smiles on people in this community's face is second to none. And we live in a great place, and this is a great school district. I'm super proud to be associated with everybody here. So to reiterate, Merry Christmas, Healthy New Year, and that's it. This meeting is adjourned at 8:24.